Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1342, number 4242, the answer to the ultimate question. That's what I found out from a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book. It's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, the last place on Earth. And I bring up Douglas Adams because he wrote for Doctor Who back in the day.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I finally got around to watching the new season. I've watched the first 3 episodes. And what the hey?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
There's a guy named Stephen Moffat who writes for it. Wow, there's a couple of ducks that just flew by the window. Oh, no, wait. Those were geese. My bad. Oh, I thought that the Cafe Anyway was located in a desert somewhere. But Monfrey, it's not. It's located right by a lake. Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And Podcastro Valleymont is not a desert. It's actually kind of it's got a lot of trees and
Mike's
like I said,
Daily
they got a BART that goes through
Podcast.
it. And that's about it.
Yeah!
So let's hear it for Bart.
Go!
I would like to tell you my weekend was pretty good. I guess I'm not a mom, so it wasn't a really good weekend. If I was a mom, I'd probably get all kinds of presents and candies and flowers and whatnot and taking out to dinner. That would have been great. But no. Hey, we'll take a look at some of the news going on with the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA. Look who just walked in. Now. Just now. Right then. Just here. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark.
Who are you?
I'm Benita, the Rodeo Queen. I had a great Mother's Day.
Good. Who else is here?
Hello, my commercial to my dog, Rootabega, and I had a great Mother's Day, too. Oh.
Wonderful. You know, when I was married, hey, look who else walked in. We didn't have kids, so I felt kind of weird giving my wife at the time anything because technically she wasn't a mother. Well, actually, now she's a mother, but she had a baby. Ah, babies! They're so wonderful. They make that little cooing noise. They're so beautiful. Oh, look, little baby. Oh my gosh. So some people are baby crazy, I gotta say. I know I post a lot of pictures of my dog on the Facebook and the podcast picture, but people just post non-stop pictures with their baby, and it's always the same one with them looking at the baby.
Here's today's podcast picture.
Someone takes it of them, and they're looking at the baby, and maybe they're breastfeeding. They're breastfeeding away. It's off to the side, and that's not what today's podcast picture is. I'm not breastfeeding any babies. No, it's a wonderful... I have no idea! Whoa! I actually got this far into the show and didn't have one ready. Do I want to show you a picture of the strange fruit that's growing in my backyard that just is a volunteer and just started growing? Or should I do this picture of Basil looking at the horses at the rodeo parade? That was the Rowell Rodeo Parade in Podcastro Valley this past weekend. No, that's sublimely boring. Oh, gosh. Well, how about I find something by the end of the show? I really have nothing interesting in my Google Photos. Oh, how I love Google Photos. Don't you? You could just go right through there. And there's... And they're always saved in this cloud. Except for when it rains, the pictures fall out of the cloud. And they fall on the ground. That's how it works, right? It falls right out?
That's not how it works.
What?
That's not how any of this works.
Oh. I'm having a feeling I'm going to have to go into a different folder for this. I found that looking at pictures sometimes brings back a tear. And sometimes you see something that you didn't see at the time of the event. What's really odd is when that event happened years and years ago, and you're looking and you're going, what? Oh, that's why that happened. I didn't see that at the time. I didn't notice that I didn't have pants on. How did that... What? So, what today's podcast picture is I'm so wanting to post a picture of Basil because I am one of those moms that likes to post pictures of his child all the time. But that's weird, and no. We're going to go with this one of the wonderful... Oh gosh, I always have pictures of that. Yes, I'm always posting pictures of water. What the hell? Today is Benita and this big red tanker boat going by, and the waves are lapping by, and I'm not even going to say where this is. Okay, I'm not going to say it in the picture. Only you know, because you get the special information. I hope you like that information. What I was also going to mention is, speaking of dogs, if you do have a dog, you probably noticed something very interesting. And that is, people will tell you people often ask your dog's name before they ask your name. What's your dog's name? I met a dog named Spencer yesterday. He was a Tibetan monk dog. No, wait, a Tibetan terrier is the name of it. And his name was Spencer, and a very nice guy. And then somewhere in the conversation, you get the dog walker going, I'm Frank, by the way, or I'm something, by the way. It always goes, I'm blank, by the way. Or sometimes there's, by the way, I'm. And it's so funny, and it's just sort of, and then people don't even remember each other's names. The guy, what was his name? He had an Indian, he actually was from India, because he was telling me he had a dog in India as well, who had a bump on his head that the vet said, don't do anything about the bump. I could tell you should do something about the bump and make a lot of money off of you, but I'm not, because I'm cool. I'm the coolest vet ever. And in fact, I'm going to tell you, don't do it. Don't put your dog through anesthesia. Here's the thing, and this is a good part of the segment.
The word of dog.
A lot of dog owners, they see something like a little bump that maybe is, they don't know. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's not. But you always have to consider this, and this guy told me this, and I agree. When you put your dog under anesthesia, you're always going to be putting your dog in peril. And be careful about that. I've only had to put, luckily, Basil the Boxer only once under anesthesia, because he had a really bad, talked about this on the podcast, where he barked at a dog on the other side of a fence, but he hit the fence weird and it gashed his leg, and they had to stitch it back together. It was really bad, and they did a fantastic job, but he had to be under anesthesia for that. Now, when I was so worried the day they did the operation, and when I went to pick him up, I was just basically like a nervous wreck, and they came out with him, and he came running to me, and he was so happy, and I'm like, how did you do that? What the? He doesn't look groggy or messed up or anything. He looks just so happy. And in fact, he still likes to go to that vet's office, even though I don't, because they try to upsell me all the time. Speaking of up, how about upspeak? I'm trying to think now if I've done any upspeak on today's show. Oh wait, I think I just did it just there. But I was listening to a show with a bunch of scientists on the show To the Point, and they had this one guy, and you could tell he was in his 20s because he kept doing the upspeak and hitting every word like it was going to be knocked out of the park like a home run. And then they were discussing how to reverse manage engineer climate. Think of it as climate change back. Oh, we've done such a horrible thing with all the stuff we've thrown in the air. Now we're going to change it back using a counter chemical. We're going to reverse what we did. Well, that just brought up all kinds of a lot of scientists on the show were saying, no, you can't throw bad money after bad, and good toxins after bad toxins and whatnot, and you're polluting the atmosphere even more. And it's a fascinating topic that put me right to sleep, and I am glad that my Google Play, which it will tend to do sometimes, it will skip ahead. I just upspoke again, and I got right past the really boring part. It just jumped to the end. Thank you, Google Play, for not working correctly. Well, we've covered a lot of topics on today's show. Tech, breastfeeding, and then after that, I don't know what else we talked about. But it was good, wasn't it? So, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com has all the past podcast pictures of Benita, wherever the hell I took a picture of. I hope you like it. Because I just take pictures willy-nilly. No, I don't. Well, I think you should. I think you should take pictures willy-nilly because you need to go back in time sometimes and become a time traveler, a time lord, if you will, a Doctor Who, and go and look at those old moments and go, wow, you know, my ex-wife, she put on some pounds. She was pretty big. I didn't realize it at the time because I was so in love, but wow, that woman was huge. I can say that now because she's as thin as a rail now. She found CrossFit and... Well, actually, I don't know. She had a baby, so... But I feel... We were not eating well back then, was my point. We were not eating well at that time period that I was looking at the pictures, and we were both really big, and we were eating just processed crap up the wazoo. You shouldn't eat... That's not how you eat. You don't shove things up the wazoo to eat. What? I will not define what a wazoo is, and that's the way I'll get out of that weird sentence that I just did. But when we were in... So we had both gained a lot of weight, and we went to visit my mom in Florida, and my mom's got this friend named Laura. And Laura is so... She's one of those opinionated... We all have opinions. I have opinions. That's how I'm able to do this show, because I'm kind of running off of them right now, even though they're crazy opinions. But Laura has opinions, and she sticks by them to the point, I know some of my opinions. I can kind of go, wait, that's wrong what I just said about the wazoo. But she sticks by them, and she's just annoying. And she said to my ex-wife at the time, hey, you guys used to be so in shape, and now you're not. What's up? She, said that. And I think I even did a nicer version of it. She said a meaner... And we were at it. We just came out of a Mexican restaurant in Florida. So you know what that means. Lots of rice and delicious beans. And she said that to us. And my wife at the time and I looked at each other. And it was, okay, Laura, you are on the bleep list from here on out. And my mom, I brought it up to my mom many times over the years, because this happened years and years and years ago, and I go, Mom, I can't believe Laura said that. My mom's not the best of friends with Laura right now, but she would defend Laura constantly. And don't you hate that when people defend their friends when obviously their friends were in the wrong? I mean, come on, she didn't need to say that. That was uncouth. But my mom eventually found out how uncouth Laura is, and doesn't talk to her that much anymore. But Laura, God. And she had no room to talk because she was way on the heavy side. So what the hell? MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com has all the past podcast pictures. I don't have any pictures of Laura, so you don't have to judge. And we'll reserve the judging for the great supreme one. Of course, I'm talking about Homer. Go! He has no room to talk because he's animated. And the only way he can talk is if Dan Castaneda talks. So check that out, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. You can help out the show if you're going to buy anything on Amazon. Click on that Amazon link and buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out. And we're so happy. I did get a email from someone.
Oh my God!
Email from email@yourcom and not so calm mess.
Well, they actually called the podcast line at 336 Daily, and they said to me, she sells Sanctuary, and the world drags me down, because I couldn't think of any cult lyrics. Thank you for that. And that, of course, was from Haley.
The Daily Haley. The almost Daily Haley.
Which we need to get back on the show, Haley, because Haley hasn't been on in a long time. Okay, Haley, here we go. we're doing this segment called
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
We're just gonna. I honestly, I really don't care about the news, except this story that was kind of weird because it dovetailed into what I was talking about on Friday, talking about cults. And oddly enough, the guy that is the actor that portrayed Jim Jones, we brought up about the whole thing with Jim Jones' birthday was this past weekend. And it was also, this year is going to be the anniversary of the horrible, there I go, I want to say, Guyana. That's right, Guyana. I always want to say Guam. There's all kinds of wrong ways to say that, huh? This is the year that the anniversary of the horrible 40 years, right? 40 years since the Jonestown disaster took place. Well, Jim Jones in the Guyana tragedy, Powers Boothe, was in that movie that I was talking about. That he portrayed Jim Jones very well, Powers Boothe. Anyway, he passed away this past weekend at the age of 68. So, thought it was bizarre, that connection with all of that. But my page has become unresponsive, and I will tell it to close down because my computer's doing weird things. I wonder if it has to do with the ransomware. The worldwide ransomware cyber attack that wreaked havoc in hospitals, schools, and offices around the globe today. Asia reported thousands of new cases, but no large-scale breakdowns as workers started the week by booting up their computers. The full extent of the damage from the cyber attack felt in 150 countries was unclear and could worsen if more malicious variations of the online extortion scheme appear. The initial attack, known as WannaCry, paralyzed computers running in Britain's hospital network, Germany's national railway, and scores of other companies and government agencies around the world. As a loose global network of cybersecurity experts fought the ransomware, the attack was disrupting computers that run factories, banks, government agencies, and transport systems in scores of countries, including Russia, Ukraine, Brazil, Spain, India, and Japan, among others. Among those hit were Russia's Interior Ministry and companies including Spain's Telefonica and FedEx in the U.S. Chinese state media said 29,372 institutions there had been infected, along with hundreds of thousands of devices. And the Japan Computer Emergency Response Team Coordination Center, which is a nonprofit group providing support in computer attacks, said 2,000 computers at 600 locations in Japan were reported affected. The auto manufacturer Renault said one of its plants, which employs over 3,000 people in northern France, wasn't reopening today as technicians dealt with the cyber attacks aftermath. In China, universities and other education institutions were among the hardest hit, possibly because schools tend to have old computers and be slow to update operating systems and security. Always update. And experts urged organizations and companies to immediately update older Microsoft operating systems such as Windows XP, and a patch released by Microsoft Corporation to limit vulnerability to a more powerful version of the malware. Then something just popped up on my computer. A Citrix receiver. That's weird. Don't know what that is. Just as I am podcasting to you, something is happening. Well, this will be an interesting day in the internet world. And I am just going to close up this entire window and hope it goes away. Nope. It's still there. Okay. Well, I'm going to probably just walk away from this computer. I'm going to run away, as a matter of fact, and hope it all gets better. Next show, we're going to bring you something, hopefully, if the whole internet doesn't crash. we'll probably have some people like Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. How does that sound? Okay. Enjoy your day. Oh, it's so nice outside here at Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcast Trevelyan, not a desert.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!